to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today we have our resident panel of experts, Meryl Gay from the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance and Ava Bermuda Zimmerman from Child Care for CT. I'll begin by thanking Louiselle for providing translation for us, interpretation, and reminding everyone to speak slowly enough that we can get this thing done in 2 languages. Reminder to the community to use the chat for technical difficulties or communication with each other. And please use the Q&A for questions for the panelists. And if you're using an AI note taker, if you could please delete or turn off the notifications that show up in chat because they clog up the chat. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I did lots of family time. Glad to be back to my routine as well. So that's nice. Today's topic is the Early Start RFA. It was announced. We weren't sure last week what the schedule was going to be, but it has been announced. And we have Meryl Gay and Linda Fecteau from from the Women's Business Development Council here to help you guys understand it. We're also joined by Jen Garcia. Both Linda and Jen are child care business advisors for WBDC and frequent guests here. So thank you both so much for joining us. And I will pop the presentation into the chat in just a few minutes. I think actually before we get started, one thing I just want to give you is that we've got a survey. We're working on some future presentations, and one thing we're thinking about is DCF payments. And so if everyone could take just 1 minute as we begin to fill out this 4-question survey on DCF payments, that would be very helpful to us in figuring out how to frame a presentation around that, or if it's necessary. And I popped that in the chat. It is in English and in Spanish. And thank you so much. And now I will turn it over to Meryl and Linda. Meryl, you're muted. And Linda, welcome.
Thank you. Meryl, are you ready for me to share?
Sure. So let me preface what we're saying is that neither Linda or I work for the Office of Early Childhood. This is a first look at the OEC RFA. And because we don't work at OEC, we are able to talk in terms a little different than the official OEC Bidders Conference, which is going to be on Wednesday. So a little more casual than that formal Bidders Conference approach. We're going to try and explain the differences between this RFA and the previous RFA, talk a little bit about the scoring, and to talk about the things that you should think about if you're going to apply. All right.
All right, get started. Thanks.
So the basics, there's $13 million for new early start spaces. Now that does not mean a new space. It can be a currently existing space with children in it, but it would be new to the subsidy system. This will be an 18-month contract that takes you through the end of June 2027. And that's because next fall, all of the early start slots will be rebid for July of 2027. And there'll be a bunch of big changes coming in July of 2027, which we'll talk about a little bit more. The applications for this RFA are due by 5 p.m. on December 17th. All right.
Okay.
So let's talk about what's changed between the RFA that was released last spring and the current RFA. For many of you, you applied. There were over 750 applications in last spring's RFA, and only around 60 were funded, which means it was about a 7% of the applicants received funding. There were many new applicants who were disappointed that they didn't get funded and that most of the money went to existing early start programs. So let's talk about what's changed in this. In the last RFA, in the middle column there, you got 10 points if you were a new provider to Early Start. In the current one, you're getting 20 points. So that's a significant change to make it easier for new applicants to get into the funding. There is 5%, 5 points that are given for programs that received LISC facilities grants. And I think that's because the sense of like, all right, we funded this program, but it doesn't have any Early Start program slots. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to have funded it out of one pocket and not make it function with money from the other pocket. So the next one is that in RFAB, you got 5 to 15 points based on your lead teacher qualifications. In the current RFA, there are no points given for that. In the last one, you also got 5 points if you were enrolled in the registry. In this one, you don't get that. You don't get 5 points for that. Then the final change, we switched from social vulnerability index to a child opportunity index. Those are slightly different. SVI is about social determinants of health, where the child opportunity index is really about child well-being. There are a few zip codes where it changes a bit. It's pretty close. But the big change here is that the number of points you got under the old scoring system was a maximum of 20 points. In this one, it's a maximum of 15 points. And that's paired with the child care desertification number that we'll talk about some more to give you a maximum number of points based on the zip code where the child care program will be. So later on, Linda will go through some scenarios of how those things work together. Much of this scoring is kind of already set. You answer a couple of questions, yes or no. Really, the primary thing you're going to propose is what kind of slots you're trying to get subsidized. Are they infant toddler slots? Are they preschool slots? Are they full-time? Are they part-time? And Linda will go over that because there are.
And how many?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's go. Okay. So, as Meryl said, we just want to kind of give you the high level stuff of this opportunity and help you sort of with some decisions that you may need to make. However, we are recommending that everyone apply because the application itself is very straightforward. There's not a lot of decisions for you to make when you're filling it outside of, as Meryl just said, how many spots and what demographic. So the Early Start is providers are awarded funds and will have to sign a contract with OAC for approved slots. As Meryl said, the application scoring includes the Child Care Access and Child Care Opportunities Index. I'm going to show you what that looks like a little bit later. Important to remember that families must meet income guidelines. Providers can also, on top of the reimbursement that they get from Early Start, can charge the family a fee. We're going to look at that a little bit too. They can also apply for a Care for Kids reimbursement. You will need to meet some special requirements, such as becoming accredited and all of the general policies and contract requirements that OEC will require. Okay, so as Meryl said, located in certain geographic areas, I'm going to hope that this link works. Did it change on your side, or are you still looking at my PowerPoint?
Still looking at your PowerPoint.
Okay, give me 1 second. Stop share. this way. Come on.
So while Linda's doing that, let me talk just a little bit about that.
Thank you, Meryl. Yep.
Families need to meet income guidelines. So the rule with Early Start is that 60% of the children, so 6 out of 10 children who are in an early start slot, must be below 75% of the state median income. So as you all know, that's a higher income than Care for Kids. So we're looking at the top of the Early Start competitive funding page, Linda.
Yes, this is,
So
this is the map.
There we go. Yeah.
That we're using. So, you can see, I can click here and it's telling me that in this zip code, you'll receive 22 points based on your childcare access, and you would get 21 points for your childcare opportunity index.
No, that's a total of 22 points, between 10 points for access.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for clarifying. So again, this is not a choice that you're going to be able to make. Your zip code is your zip code, and your points will be assigned, accordingly. You can certainly go in and look and see what your points are going to be. Obviously, the more points you get, the more competitive your application is going to be. There is, for the entire application, the total that you can get is 100 points. These two scoring being the highest, outside of the 20 points for not being already in have an early start spot.
And because I'm nerdy, I've sat there with this map and clicked around on all of the different red places to find what's the highest score, and it is Norwich.
Yep.
In Norwich, you will get 35 points or
32 points. Yeah, I just clicked on Norwich.
Drop down one. Go down one.
Oh, wait.
There. I think there's one that actually gets you 35 points.
Oh, yeah, 360. Yep. 360
so
is Norwich.
That's where, in that zip code, they are getting the maximum because of the lack of childcare access, and the maximum because of a low child opportunity index. But so that is the one that is the zip code that is going to score highest in this competition.
Yep. In addition to, let me see if I can get back to my PowerPoint now. Okay. So I want to just show you some of the other scoring elements. And share. All right. So, all right. So obviously, if you haven't received funding before, you're also going to be, let me just go back into slideshow. Hold on. All right. You're also going to get up to 20 points if you are currently accredited Head Start or Elevate member. So just a heads up, I'm not sure if anybody from Elevate is on the call. If you are, I'd love to have you talk a little bit about this. But as we talked about, I think last week, becoming part of the Elevate program is going to give you some points toward this application, but it's also just a great idea. It is not, you do not have to pay for the service, and the service navigators will help you build a plan.
I'm seeing that Jean is here.
Oh, she is. Does Jeannie want to come on real quick and
just do a plug for Elevate?
Yep, just do a plug. Thank you, Jeannie. That would be great.
All right. Jeannie, you should be okay to chat. If you want, actually, let me have you join as a panelist.
And meanwhile, I'll answer a question here. If you are not accredited, that does not prevent you from applying. You will get more points if you're accredited, but you will get points if you are an Elevate member. If you're not an Elevate member, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So Jeannie's going to talk about Elevate.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Thanks, Jean.
Hi. Yes, good morning. So when we're talking about this RFA, the Elevate Member Plus is what is going to get you those extra points. And so Elevate Member Plus is creating that Elevate program plan and submitting it to the Office of Early Childhood through the OEC 360 provider portal. And so once your plan is approved and you have your goal set for the upcoming year, you are considered Elevate Member Plus. And so you do not have to be Member Plus in order to do anything. It just really helps your program build your upon your goals. And strategically plan your action steps for upcoming items within your program. And so if you are not accredited or Elevate Member Plus, it's a good idea to reach out to your service navigator within the OEC or your staff family child care network person, because we can help you kind of determine what your program goals may be based on your needs within your program. And if you're working towards accreditation, we can help you align the steps that you need to get to accreditation. And we can support you in that process and provide you with the resources that you need to keep moving forward. Does that sound good? Yep.
Yeah. Is it realistic to think that if someone is not an Elevate Member Plus, that they can accomplish that before the deadline of the RFA, or is that not a realistic?
Anything's possible. We do. we do ask for 10 days for review of an Elevate program plan once it's submitted. The team where we go over all of the plans in a timely manner. We do recommend that providers go onto our website and review all of the requirements of an Elevate program plan. Oftentimes, we do deny plans because they don't follow the appropriate the steps. They're not putting in the right information. And so we really encourage everybody to watch the Elevate Essentials videos. We have short clip videos that can dive into how to build a SMART goal, how to complete action steps. And we have a lot of resources available. And we even have a support to tell you what the process looks like for our plan review. So if somebody goes through all of those resources, and it's better to take time in the front end to go through and make sure everything is completed to the best of your ability. So that way you don't have to worry about getting denied for something if you don't have your SMART goal complete or action steps that will get you to reach that goal in a timely manner. And I believe I saw my colleague Maria on putting some of the links in the chat as well.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for adding that to this presentation.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, so some of the other priority areas would be if you accept Care for Kids, if you request full day spots, or school day preschool spots. Also, if you were, as Meryl said before, a recipient of the LISC facilities grant. Again, at this point, if you haven't already made these decisions, it's probably not going to be something that you can work on now outside of the Elevate Member Plus, potentially. So as you're filling out the application, you're really just completing these facts about your program. So one of the things that we want you to consider when you are filling out your application is, how many spots do you want to ask for? How many do you want them to be full-time, part-time, infants, toddlers, school age, etc.? So I'm just going to move you guys so I can see better. So you can see what these reimbursements rates are. All right. Now, it's important for you to consider that, say, for an infant toddler, the $14,580 is for a year. That comes out to $280 a week. So you need to look and see how that matches up with your market rate and what your potential is for collecting the rest of that tuition payment. So I have an example here. Let me just jump to that, and I'll go back to the other one after. All right, so an example would be, so if a family comes in and it's a family of four, their gross income is $92,000, right? So that you would use the formula that OEC has on their website. I have the link for it at the end of this presentation as well, to determine that their annual fee would be $7,360. And so per week, the family would pay $141 or $142. So you're getting, in this case, this is for preschool. So the annual early start reimbursement rate is $11,340 or $218 a week. So $218 a week plus the $142 a week from the family is $360 a week. So you need to really look at whether or not that is going to cover your cost of care. Now, in addition to this, a family may also qualify for Care for Kids. So, again, Care for Kids right now is experiencing enrollment management. Therefore, you may not be able to have a new family come in, get an early start spot, pay their parent fee, and collect Care for Kids. It's really going to depend on what the availability of Care for Kids is. Now, with that said, if you already have a family on Care for Kids, they may also qualify for this. And this is something that you can make an appointment with either Jen or I or one of our other advisors at WBDC to do this math. Like, is this really going to cover my cost of care, and how can I make that work? Am I going to use this for existing families, or am I going to use this to expand my business? As we talked about with the Care for Kids enrollment management situation, you could, if you have families that are waiting for Care for Kids, that maybe you use this to subsidize part of that slot instead, and then hope that they get on Care for Kids down the road. Does that make sense, Meryl?
Yep. Okay. In previous documents indicated that after 2027, early start care. Okay. So there's a question in the Q&A about Care for Kids and early start.
Okay.
So in July of 2027, early start is supposed to get a big rate increase. And that rate increase is to do a couple of things. The first is to reduce parent fees. So families under $100,000 who are in an early start slot will not have any tuition because the reimbursement rate from the state is going to go up enough to cover all of that cost. So you, as a provider with an early start slot, will not see a loss in revenue because the parents are no longer paying a parent fee. The rate increase is supposed to also be big enough that you can pay your staff higher wages. The goal is to get to parity with public school teachers. But there is a big question mark here. And that question mark is based on how much money will be in the endowment, because it is the early childhood endowment that is funding these big changes. That endowment is funded through deposits from the state surplus. At the end of the year, surplus money goes into the endowment, and starting in 2027, July of 2027, 10% of the endowment can be used to fund this big transformation in the Early Start program. What is unclear is whether there will be enough money there to do the other goal, which would be to make it so that Care for Kids was not a needed third leg of the funding stool. And so while it is the goal to get to the point where Care for Kids is not part of that equation, until we know how much money is in the endowment, OEC hasn't made a final decision on that yet. So yes, it is the goal that in the future there will be enough money coming from the endowment that Early Start slots can just rely on Early Start and parent fees on the sliding scale for those above $100,000. And the Care for Kids is then freed up for all of the other slots that are not Early Start. But that's not definite yet. Don't worry about it right now. Certainly not for this RFA.
Right. That will definitely be an impact then. And we've also, Meryl and I have discussed a little bit about how that looks after 2027 for families who make more than $100,000 and how that is going to play into these Early Start spots. But as Meryl said, for right now, we'll focus on what's available today, which is this RFA. So again, I just really, when you're making the decisions on how many spots, part-time, full-time, age group, etc., consider the reimbursement rate versus your market rate. Okay. So again, you should be able to collect from Early Start and then also collect a parent fee. It may or may not meet your current market rate. And if it does not, you need to really consider how you're going to manage that. You also want to look at your current enrollment, waitlist capacity. As I said, you may have families that are on your waitlist that are waiting to get in, but can't afford childcare at this point. They're waiting to get into Care for Kids. It may be a long time before that happens. You could offer them an Early Start spot, which would at least give them a partial subsidy for the spot. And of course, you need to look at, do you want to increase your capacity or not? Again, you're going to have to calculate what if the parent is eligible for an Early Start spot for 60% of the spots, Meryl?
Yeah, so the income guidelines say that you have to have at least 60% of the children below 75% of the state median income. But that does mean that 40% of the children can be higher income. And so that's built into the system.
Right. And this eligibility criteria is on the OEC website. Again, we can take a look at that if you would like. I think that it's important to know that you will have to collect this paperwork, have verified this paperwork at some point. So it is an additional task that you will have to add to your plate. So that is also a consideration. And then, as we said, we're hoping that the Care for Kids enrollment management waitlist is going to open up soon. However, that is a risk that you would be taking if you were going to rely on that as part of the three-legged stool. Okay, and this was the example. All right, so really just sort of bottom line, is, here's some considerations. It's eligible to everybody. Licensed family homes, group homes, center-based programs, even licensed exempt public schools. Typical uses would be to subsidize a family to contribute to their tuition, allowing you to provide a spot at a discounted rate. Okay. This is not a grant, right? That you just, here's extra money that you can spend on your program. This is a subsidy. This is for lack of a better term, a reimbursement of the tuition that you did not collect from a family because you gave them a subsidized spot. Okay. Just want to make that clear, because some people that just think this is just, a grant. I did have a provider ask me the other day if they could use it for whatever they wanted to. And I think the short answer is yes. But again, this is not additional income to your program. This is to subsidize a family. So once you take in your revenue, your income, your sales, your tuition, that money obviously, needs to go back into your business in whatever way that needs to happen, but it is not restricted outside of that.
Linda, there are a couple of questions here
Sure.
about private pay and income limits, things like that. So
okay.
if you are a center that has 100 spaces and you request 20 early start slots, the 60% of those 20 would be 12 of those children in your subsidized early start slots would need to be below 75% of state median income. And the fee schedule of what parents pay on the sliding scale applies to those 20 children who have early start slots. They don't apply to your other children in the program. If you had 101 and only 20 were subsidized, that's what impacts. Now, there are requirements about qualified staff members that apply to all the staff in the program. And that's something that is really worth looking at, because those qualified staff requirements are frequently challenging for programs. So understand that if you've got one subsidized preschool classroom and infant toddler rooms as well, and a market rate preschool classroom, all of the teachers in all of those classrooms are supposed to meet this qualified staff member requirements. You should go look at those on the OEC Early Start slot page.
Right. And on the information session on Wednesday, I know I don't know, so I need to have clarification on when does a center or even a family home have to meet that requirement, right? Is it on day one? Is it on January 1st? Do you have a few months to do it? Or is that requirement only going to be after 2027? I know I'm not clear on that. So if there's somebody else on the call that would love to hear from you.
My understanding is that there's some give in the qualified staff member requirements, and that you can have people who don't currently meet the requirement but are in an approved program working towards it. So they don't have their degree yet, but they are enrolled in school taking classes to achieve it. But you should really go through those qualified staff member requirements on the OEC webpage to determine the impact of that, because obviously people who meet those requirements would have reason to expect to get paid more than people who don't. That may create some upward pressure besides the minimum wage increase on your payroll. So look at that carefully.
Exactly. So again, so these requirements to be quote unquote state funded through the Early Start program will have some additional expenses that you need to consider in taking, taking these spots. So I don't know if the service navigators can help you develop a plan to make sure that you are in compliance with your quality staff members. But I would recommend that you really do understand that and understand how the plan to become in compliance.
Okay. There's another question, which is about who's responsible for applying, the parents or the caregiver. So these are contracted subsidies that go with the provider. So the provider applies. So say you're a family child care provider, and you could apply for some slots. And then when a parent comes to you, you would charge them on the sliding scale and get paid for them each month by OEC. And there are certainly a number of family child care providers who are who have early start slots. You may want to talk to one of them about how it's working. There are a bunch of rules and compliance issues that one needs to deal with if you are a early start provider. It's not just free money.
We also have a number of people with hands raised, so let me know when you're ready for that.
But okay, I mean, I'm ready, Meryl, if you are.
Sure.
Okay, Patricia Boyd, you have the first hand up if you want to join us. All right, let's go to Kyla Segman. People raised them a little while ago, so they may not also be here, but if, all right, Debbie Campagna.
I did not mean to raise my hand. I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry.
All right, that's no problem. This happens all the time.
Hi, Debbie.
And it's part of why we often don't do the raise hand, because it's usually that way. Okay, Tashi, are you available? Did you raise your hand on purpose?
Yes, I did. I just want, it's more of a statement than a question. I would like you guys to please, and I stress this, let the Latina community know that they do not need to be paying anyone to do this application for them. They are, I can't stretch it enough that every time there's a grant or there's something comes out, they get taken advantage of, right? Where someone is charging them this amount of money just to fill the application out. Break it down to them if you guys can. I know, like I said, me being from Jamaica, I understand when I come here and I don't understand a lot of stuff. Yeah, I have to learn myself, right? So it's difficult for most some of them. I understand people say they don't read with comprehension. It's not it. It's not that you don't read with comprehension skill. Everybody learns differently, and I wish people to learn that. And everybody don't understand stuff. So if you could break it down for them, please. They do not, and stress it, they do not need to pay anyone, because this is not a guarantee that they pay somebody a certain amount of money and they're going to get on it. Every time I hear it and I listen and I get called, how much of them being robbed, how much money they sending out. And I don't mean 100. Some people send out thousands of dollars. Some people send out $600, $700, $800 just to get this thing. So if you could put that out, please, and thanks. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tashi.
Thanks for sharing that. And if you do have questions on this application, though, you can make an appointment with WBDC, and that is at no cost to you because we are funded through the Office of Early Childhood. However, I will say that the application, like I said, there's not a lot of decisions for you to make. You're filling out your name, your address, your license number. The biggest decision is how many slots and what demographic that you want to do. So,
okay, we've got 3 hands up: Patricia Boyd, Kyla Segman, or Kathleen Snow. If either of you wants to join, you can jump in. If not, I'm going to put those hands down.
No, my hand is not up.
Okay. Well, it's up, but you probably didn't mean to. It's okay. All right. Go ahead. You guys can keep going then.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna just share the application with you real quick so you can see what it looks like if you guys haven't gone into the link yet. So again, it's, are you licensed? What's your license number? Etc., your organization name, your zip code. If you have your registry number, you can put it in. But it does not seem to impact your score in any way. Here, let me just, I'm going to have to put some information in to just put in. I don't think we need an actual learners, address, Norwich. No, actually, put it here. See if it lets you. All right. And you will see here too, it asks you about the food program, but it doesn't impact your score. All right. Let's see. Okay. Oh, we obviously have a test one in there. So, all right. In order for me to go through the entire application, we would have to put in some specific information. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share. But again, the application is probably going to take most providers about 5 minutes. Louise is putting in the chat that it does go by your zip code, which we already looked at how that impacts your score. So, all right, Meryl, what other questions do we have?
I've been answering a bunch of them here in the chat. Now, there are a couple of questions which I don't know the answer to, which is, can you request a change in space type from like half day to full day in this RFA? I would ask you to ask that question at the bidders conference. That's a level of specificity that I can't answer.
So in other words, if you already have like a part-time spot and you want to make it into a full-time spot, how does that work on this particular application? Or do you ask for additional full-time spots?
Yeah. And then there's a question here, but is this to reapply for current spots or only for new slots? This is just for new slots in this RFA. Next year, about this time, will be another whole big RFA for all of the slots that'll all get recompeted across the state.
There's a comment here at the bottom, which is like, sometimes these are even, yes, Tashi's right, people do get taken advantage of, and also these are really complicated and not everyone has time, and sometimes they do pay people to write them. So I guess the question is, how do you find somebody to help you with the application if you're going to pay them to help who is legitimate? And maybe that's really the point to make.
For anyone,
some people do need help,
Shouldn't be a reason for anyone to need to pay anyone to do this, because this is a pretty straightforward application that is mostly based on where you are. You ask for, whether they are infant space, whether they're.
Is Meryl glitching or is it me?
Yeah, Meryl is glitching.
All right. I'm going to mute him for a second because he's going to just keep jumping in. All right, Meryl, you back? All right. Yeah, somebody's just clarifying they don't pay very much, but it does help them. And so, I mean, yeah, I think
somebody just put in chat that Circle is available to help. You could probably reach out again to, a service navigator, Women's Business Development Council, there are other resources out there that are at no cost to a provider. So I would, recommend that you use one of those resources before you pay somebody to do this. Again, this is not a complicated application. So, I don't think it warrants, a professional grant writer.
I'm just looking to clarify, the application is can you click to have it available in Spanish?
You know
Did
what?
they offer that?
Let me go back to.
I can't see that it does, but I'm curious if you start from the Spanish, like if you start this in Spanish.
I do not know the answer to that, Izzy. We should
Okay.
find that out.
Yeah, and let me just click through in Spanish and see if it works. No, it pulls it up in English. And so, guys, I think what you have to do, well, first we should request that from Office of Early Childhood, but also if you have something that translates your browser, that will help as well. Go ahead, Meryl.
The Trump administration made it difficult for state governments to provide information in language English. And that may be something that the translation of it may be something that one of these assistance organizations is going to need to do. And I'll just, I'll throw that out there. When we're ready, I've got some more questions that I could answer.
Okay, I know I was just looking at the ones from Maureen.
Yeah.
Meryl, definitely weigh in on this one, but you do not have to collect the income eligibility paperwork for your private pay parents, only for those that will be utilizing an Early Start spot. Correct, Meryl?
Correct. And remember that 40% families can be overcome, and
I think
yeah, okay.
Meryl, you may need to restart something.
Yeah, you're kind of going every other word. I do believe that what Meryl was just reinforcing, that you also 40% of the Early Start spots that you have can be those over and above that 75% of the state median income. All right. I see a question about qualified service members and the registry. Not my area of expertise. Is there someone else on the call that maybe has a little more experience with that? That would be fantastic. Mm-hmm. And it looks like Ava also has her hand up.
Ava, you want to join us?
Yeah. I didn't want to skip the line here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering if anyone knew if the capacity, the number that they asked in the application about how many kids you're willing to take and if you're willing to expand, if that takes in consideration how many kids you're already authorized to through your licensing, or how many kids you would like to take in addition, and get licensed for more children. So that distinction, for example, to clarify my question, if I'm a home-based provider and I know that I'm going with my 6+3, but I purposely only care for 4 children because I don't want to pay for an assistant. I want to do maybe 3 in the morning, then I take 1 in the afternoon. And then in the application, because of this new opportunity, I would consider expanding to 3 more children within my licensing guidelines and pay for an assistant, pay for some help. Does that count, or is the question just related to what your certificate says, what your licensing approval says?
I think, if I understand your question, if they're expanding their capacity through OEC, Is that what you're
I'm
saying?
just trying to clarify what is expansion, the definition of expansion. If expansion is a provider deciding that within their current licensing, they're going to take on more children if they get early start, or does that mean going back to OEC and asking OEC for additional slots?
So
I'm expanding my space.
Yeah, my understanding, and again, I am not a licensing specialist, but my understanding is if that you're already a family home provider that's already licensed for 6+3 can go to 9 full time without changing their license. They don't have to have a special endorsement. Now, if they are planning on applying for large family home or expanding in a different way, then that, may be different. They can certainly expand, say, from 6 to 9 and use, and if they were to be awarded these 3 additional early start spots, then they would be able to offer those new spots to families on a subsidized basis. Did that answer your question?
Not really, but I'll ask on Wednesday and then report back on our next Monday call. It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Wasn't following.
We are,
Okay.
yeah, I'll ask, no worries. I've been asked this question and I wasn't sure the answer, if it has to do with licensing versus what you're willing and wanting to take in.
I don't know if my
Oh, we heard you for a minute,
No,
Meryl.
yeah. He was
Meryl.
fine for 30 minutes and then he glitched out. It's so weird.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So one of the things we have a childcare business coordinator, Stephanie, who is bilingual, and we had talked internally at WBDC about potentially being able to help some of the Spanish-speaking providers with the application. If that is something that you'd be interested in doing, then I will have Stephanie put her contact information in the chat. That may be something that can help those. Tennille says there's a number of slots, increase your points for the application. I do not believe that it just you just get either a yes or a no. And then she asks, what does the 57 points mean for that part? That I am not sure about. All right. Maybe we can try going back into the application again and just put in some mock information. I'm just looking through some more questions here.
Reminder that we've got 6 minutes till we're wrapping up.
Oh, okay. All right. Then maybe that's something that we should do in a business advising appointment, if you'd like. And the 8% increase in provider pay is only for those in RFA already. That is not my understanding. My understanding is that the reimbursement rate for this current RFA is the 8% over what the current rate is, whether it's a new slot or an existing slot. Let's see. What if you already have 9 full-time as a family provider and can't add new childcare spaces? So, Lynn, you can use these slots for already enrolled families. So you'll have to know your demographics. Are there some families that you already are serving who you think would be eligible for this subsidy? Then you can have them apply and use the subsidy toward their spots. I think I have covered all the Q&As.
All right, great.
Okay. All right. Again, please make an appointment with WBDC if you'd like to, go through this more. Play around with the application when you get a chance. And then, of course, come back to us with any questions. But it's pretty straightforward. Your answers are your answers. There's not a lot of decisions for you to make outside of the number of slots that you would like to apply for. And as Meryl said earlier, this is going to be a highly competitive spot. There's only 1,000 spots being awarded during this round. And I believe that it will be purely based on your numeric score, with the highest score being 100. How that's going to shake out statewide, I cannot say. I don't think that it hurts anybody to go ahead and apply if this is something that you're thinking about doing, regardless. And I think that once we hit 2027, understanding how early start spots work and how you can become an early start provider is going to be very important. So we want to start educating providers on this now. Again, work very closely with your service navigators through OEC and the Elevate program. They can help you with some of your quality pieces, probably regarding the quality staff member. And also just, developing a plan on how to eventually become accredited and be able to utilize this subsidy. Meryl put something in the chat. He wants you to talk about the child care management system survey.
Yep,
Okay.
I've got that from when we
Okay.
wrap up.
All right. Then I
Great.
will turn it over to you. If anybody else has more questions, please, again, reach out to WBDC and make an appointment with me or Jen through Stephanie.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you to Jen. We really appreciate you coming on. I know that this is not official, but it's really great to have at least some session to get through this because it's a big deal. Okay, there's two things, guys, that we need. We're trying to work on what topics will be best for future webinars. We believe we have next week set up, but it's a little bit in flux still, so I don't want to announce it. But we have two questions about childcare management systems and BCF payment. There's two quick surveys, like 1, 2, 3 questions, 4 questions. It should take you less than a minute each. If folks could spend 1 minute just filling those out, that will help us to figure out if those are good sessions and how to target them moving forward. Meryl, I don't know if you're still frozen or if there's anything else you need to add. All set. Okay. And then Ava, how about you? Anything else to add?
I know it's a little early, but for the Childcare for CT December meeting happening in 2 weeks, the subject is going to be preparation for legislative session 2026, what we expect so far, and then a recap of special session for those who want to know or hear about what's happening in session.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Thank you to Louiselle. And really great to be with you all this morning. Have a great week.
Thank you.